Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rewriters Room. We are a new wrestling podcast under the RNC channel. We will be here to talk about all of the major moments in WWE and kind of redefining and rewriting them how we would have liked to if we were in the writer's room. We're going to introduce ourselves first. This is an assortment of three very volatile, very eccentric Twitter niggas. I am Armand, music journalist, podcaster, playlist curator, bunch of other shit. I got my boy Channing. Introduce yourself, bro. I'm not going to speak for you.
What's up? My name is Channing. I am the leader of the Bianca Belair fan club. We call ourselves the Belairs. The Fresh Princess of Belairs, Fresh Queen of Belairs. Hardcore wrestling fan, probably from ages like 6 or 7 to 13. Then kind of fell off in high school. Got back to it once I got through college. Just trying to get my thoughts on audio as well as Twitter. Please stay out of my mentions because I don't read them.
And of course, we got the man, CC.
What's good, y'all boys? CC, also known as Sean, also known as your girlfriend, boyfriend. That's not true at all. I have a girlfriend. No, I'm just a faithful black. No, I'm not even gonna do that. No, I'm just for real. I'm just a tech/music nigga. Always been a wrestling nigga. I got lower back problems to this motherfucking day from doing swanton bombs off my motherfucking bunk bed. If that's all you got to know about me. Shit, that's to let you know right there.
Yeah, this is Team Extreme. I guess I'll be leader for the sake of time. I didn't give any context, but I'm also a lifelong wrestling fan, and it's a great transition into who our first topic is going to be. I've taken a very strong appreciation for the Minneapolis, Minnesota specimen superhuman Brock Lesnar. As of late, I've gone through all of his matches, his more recent stuff, the Survivor Series match with Daniel Bryan, the triple threat at Royal Rumble 15 with Cena and Seth Rollins, Royal Rumble 31 against Roman Reigns. And I've really just come to appreciate what he brings to the ring in terms of storytelling and obviously what he does in his matches, the superhuman strength. And it's such a strong kind of flip from early in his career. Brock came in 2002. He was the first guy I really was a fan of. I remember my very first episode was when he threw Matt Hardy through the wall, and then he F5 Big Show through an announcer's table. I was like, yo, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm messing with him. And then
I was scared.
Bro, and then once my parents bought the video games, of course I was using him. And then once I saw him doing the crazy F5 where he launched him in the air and let go, I was doing that to my brother. And he was just this larger than life guy and almost like a superhero to me. You guys want to talk about your first experiences watching Brock? Because you guys are older than me too. So you guys saw wrestling before me too.
Mm-hmm. So I'll go first because my memory is not as vivid. What I remember, the first thing I remember about Brock is the promo. And I remember being a kid. And even as a kid, I still had that kind of I was developing that fucking jaded sense where I'm just nothing impressed me, but I find these little things that I like, blah, blah, blah. So, whenever they have new people, I'm just all right, how the fuck are they going to try to sell this shit, right? And it's that shit was no fucking marketing plan. It was this is a big motherfucker. He's coming to fuck niggas up. I was oh shit. And then the nigga got there. I'm all right, let's see what he actually do. I'm looking at this nigga eyes. I'm did this nigga know this is fake? I don't think this nigga know. And then he proceeds to show me that I don't know that he really thinks it's fake. I don't know. It's been this nigga right here. I just remember he came. I don't know if I saw his debut episode because to be honest, I don't think I watched that one. I had watched one of the early episodes that he was on though. He comes to the fucking ring. This nigga gets up on the ring or whatever, and the way he walks in, he just walked because he has that same walk now or whatever. But before, when he was younger, you gotta remember this nigga was young, so he was this is the biggest shit he had ever done. This nigga was geeked about his shit. So imagine Brock with his crazy ass. This motherfucker is geeked. Imagine seeing this big excited motherfucker in front of one of your favorite wrestlers or whatever. Because I remember at one point, the reason why I saw him because he had pressed the rock at one point or just was walking by, I think, or whatever. And I was it was I had that moment where I was damn, I think I'm about to watch my dad get his ass beat. And so that's what Brock was for me. I was damn. I like this nigga you just meet the nigga who could beat your dad ass. That's what that was.
Yeah. How about you, Chan?
I think for me, it's like I think he's one of the few wrestlers who like the presentation was perfect from day one. Like even I remember so vividly like thinking like this man has like muscles on his neck. I was like, who like this muscle that no one else has? I was like, who has that muscle? And like even I remember like the theme song and there's that first cut in the video where he like looks at the camera like real fast and there's like sweat coming off. It's like dun, 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 dun. And it's just like, oh, this is like a force of nature. Like this is not a human coming to the ring. This is like an animal. Like it's like he had the back tattoo with like he got bigger now, but like the sword, like the spine, and he would just like roll his shoulders when he would walk. And it was just like watching like a caged animal. And remember, yeah, when he was young, like he would do like moonsaults and like all this shit he doesn't really do now, but like he would do shit and was like, oh, he's like the top 5 athlete alive. Bruh. And I think for me too, like it was definitely the stuff with The Rock, because you could tell like even though he was young, he wasn't like a lot of people when they're in the ring with The Rock, it's just like, oh, it's The Rock and someone else. Like but Brock, like just because he was so physically imposing, it was like, oh, like this man could hurt The Rock. Like I love The Rock, but he could really like get to it with The Rock. And then I'll never forget when I forget the guy's name, when they had him F5, the guy with one leg onto the ring. I was like, oh yeah, he's different, bro. Like this is something else, bro. Like I ain't never seen or just like push him down. Like I was like, oh, he's just built differently. Like this man has one leg and you're F5ing it into the ring post. Like it's just there's nothing like that. I don't care what Taz did, what Mick Foley did. I don't care. Like this is a sick individual. Like, this man doesn't care about anything. And like I would never forget like these moments of like you said, like, oh, Brock Lesnar might like accidentally kill somebody. Like like he just might accidentally just wall off and just like break someone's neck just off accident. And like that's my first impression of Brock. Like, oh yeah, he's like an animal. He's like a
But you know what's weird? You know what's weird about that? I'm glad you said that. You know what's weird about that is that like to this day, so we recognized it then, but the crazy thing is to this day and every moment in between, I felt like you know that saying Brock Lesnar might kill the guy, but the same way I look at James Bond might kill a guy. I'm like, oh, he has a license to kill. I'm just like, this is just what this guy does.
You shouldn't fuck with Brock Lesnar. That's your fault. Like, yeah, like, got in the ring with him.
Yeah, you're signing up for more than just a few bumps when you get in the ring with Brock.
Bruh,
whether it's a 3-minute match, which you're probably going to get these days with him, or a 10-minute match. But yeah, I think that's the crazy thing about him too. Is like he had all that strength. He came in like a beast, but he was also so athletic. Like he had all of the tools. He's kind of like what Keith Lee is right now. Like he can literally do everything: speed, size, charisma. He wasn't even that great on the mic back then either, but they put him with Paul Heyman, which was perfect for someone like him. And it's really created a model. And I mean, people were doing that before and putting a big guy with a manager, but I think there's no better pairing than Brock and Paul Heyman if we look at the history of WWE. And you know, his run was crazy because again, it was 2 years, and they talk about it in the Ruthless Aggression doc. And I think he's an obvious face of that era. But he came in, freaking squeezed the life out of Hogan. One King of the Ring, beat The Rock for the title early on. Like there was really no waiting. There was no putting him in the mid card, giving him the U.S. title or anything. Well, I don't even think the U.S. title was active then. They didn't bring it back till a little after him.
Intercontinental European.
Yeah, I think they still had the European, but didn't even have the U.S. And I remember thinking like, what? I don't know if I'm right about that, but there was a point in time where European was around and you didn't really see U.S.
Yeah. So it was like, nah, they kind of had to shoot him straight to stardom. He had a great feud with Big Show, great feud with Undertaker, great feud with Kurt Angle, the Mania match at War where he almost broke his neck on that shooting star press.
It's through so.
Like if you had to name like the top 3 moments of his like first run, it's got to be that. It's got to be when he suplexed Big Show and the ring broke. And probably the Zach Gowen F5 that you were talking about. Where he threw him
Zach Gowen, that's the nigga name.
That was so sick. That was so sick. But I think for me, because he was my favorite wrestler, like he was like my superhero. It was really upsetting when there were talks of him leaving and going to the NFL in 2004. And then, you know, we kind of saw them working towards it when he lost to Eddie at No Way Out, with Goldberg coming in and spearing him. And then that led to the Goldberg match at Mania 20 when they both were leaving. The crowd is booing. You know, Brock's looking upset. And, you know, and they talked about it in the Ruthless Aggression doc. He didn't like traveling. He didn't like people. He just kind of really wasn't messing with the whole culture of how involved the WWE is. He's a very personal guy. So He wanted to leave. He wanted to try to go to the NFL, and then he ultimately made that move. But I think it would be a really interesting discussion for us to talk about. What if Brock stayed? Because we're right around then Mania 20, if you remember, that was when John Cena won his U.S. title, and that led to him. We're working towards Mania 21, where he beat JBL for his title. Batista was rising up as a young star, and basically Brock's whole class from Ohio Valley were all kind of working their way up. So let's say if Brock didn't leave at Mania 21, do you still Mania 20? Do you still have him lose to Eddie? Because Eddie was a fan favorite. I think people were waiting for him to win a world title for a while. So that was a very, very warm moment for us. But again, Brock was always hot. He was one of those stars you could always kind of keep the title on, and things would kind of be moving. So what would you guys have done leading up to Mania 20 if Brock wasn't leaving?
I think, and this is something I read, it was like part of the thing with Eddie too was that Vince was trying to get into the Latin market, like he did with like gender, like get Indian people on board. And so I think you probably still have him lose, but I think you have him lose like very like shape, like even more of a work than it was. So it's like he loses in some way where he could then face Eddie again. Because I think, and this is like, I'm like one of the few people on this island. I really like Goldberg. I think I'm a sucker for like a cool like chance. So you like, who's next? Like I'm in. Like I'm all in. That's all I needed. Jackhammer is like one of the hardest finishers. I wish he would let that spear go now, because like he can let that shit is not hitting the way he wants it to. But like the jackhammer is hard. And so I think you have him face Eddie again, because I think the thing with Brock is that, and this is like now it's like too much to this way, but like Brock is kind of an all-consuming storyline within himself. Like you don't have to write like, oh, why is Brock upset, or what's his character's motivations to like. It's just like Brock Lesnar wants what he wants. He does what he wants to fucking do. And so I think you could keep him around and have him just kind of maybe not off TV, but like feud with Goldberg or some shit, and then have him go back to fight Eddie, and it's a very easy storyline. I do think. And this is like my guy, Batista. I think you lose Batista if you keep Brock around. Yes. I think it's hard to have that not similar characters, but that kind of same like imposing figure like in the same arena. I think you lose him. You keep Randy because Randy's still like legend killer, like he's got his dad and shit. Cena's obviously Cena, like whatever. But like I think you lose Batista because also like you can't Brock versus JBL like kind of makes sense, but like you can't have Brock versus JBL then Batista versus JBL. You're like running the same storyline twice because at this point Batista's not really a fleshed out character. It's like he left Evolution because of Triple H, but who he is as a person isn't really a thing yet. And so like you would just have Brock Lesnar take his place, and then Batista probably ends up being fucking, I don't know, Test or some shit like that. Shout out to Test, but like like no offense, like you had a cool entrance, but like who wants to be Test? So yeah, I think that's what happens. I think you keep Brock around to face Eddie, and you can kind of build off that. But I think you lose a lot of the Batista shit. I think and I hate to say that, but I think you lose that whole character arc because like he's like the animal, and you have the beast and the animal. It's like kind of.
Bro, when I was a kid, I thought like I swear to God, I thought I had the WWE figured out. I thought Batista was supposed to be Brock's replacement on purpose. Like I thought Brock leaving and like what he wanted had nothing to do with that shit. I was like Vince getting tired of this nigga. That's what Batista is here for. Like when I was a kid, I was just unconsumed because like I made that same connection and I knew that, but at the same time I understood it. I was like, you need it. Like, and now that I'm older, I really know like you need that. Like you have to have. There's like certain roles that have to be played. Everybody has a role, whatever. Yeah. And the thing about that beast role is that role is so fucking singular. That's why like that's why to be honest, Brock needed to lead. To be honest, we wouldn't be so good at all the big guys doing what they're doing right now had Brock not left. To be honest, I think wrestling doesn't get as good with the. I think wrestling gets good with the big guys because it's just evolution, life. Like you're just gonna go that way or whatever. But I think like the way it happened and the way they're able to do storylines and how they'll bring a guy as a beast, you know, or whatever. But they have that shit ready quick for him to make that character change. Like you see how it's like they be pulling that shit off the shelf. Yeah. They got different shit for different niggas, bro. Like, they just ready to go. There's like big guy, all right, he likes a girl. Big guy, oh, he doesn't like the guy who's the little guy he's with. Big guy, he's got like they already know.
Throw him in a tag.
They got that shit going. Like
with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, I feel like some of that has to do with like, and then like Yeah, it's bro. With Batista coming in like that, you can't have a Batista. Like you can't have, and then also you don't get the story being as rich with Triple H and Batista's last run if Brock still's there, because you don't get to single out Batista. Like you don't get to see him in the spotlight. They would have to be sharing it. Brock would be fine because he would be doing what he's doing right now, just picking on literally anybody, and then it's just always entertaining. Batista, you don't get the same shit or whatever because they exist together. Like we know as fans, you can keep them separate in the stories all fuck you want, but we know it's two big niggas.
Yeah, it's the two baddest niggas in the company. They gotta box. Like they gotta get to it. Like you can't have them like you can't have Batista versus Triple H and then Brock versus I don't fucking know, like JBL for like eventually like they gotta butt heads. Like there's just no way to keep them up separately. It's like when you have like
buried.
Yeah.
Batista would have got buried. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like Brock would have just been Brock. Batista would have got fucking buried, and that would have sucked.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's I definitely see you guys' angle. I actually never thought of that because my thinking was, you know, if Brock stays, you keep him on SmackDown. Batista probably stays on Raw for a bit. He still gets his run. He still breaks away from Triple H. Maybe still gets his championship run. There was a lot of different talent on Raw. I think Raw even back then had a lot more talent than SmackDown.
Yeah.
I watched SmackDown a lot more, and I was more of a fan. But Raw has always had way more people. So yeah, so Batista could have had, you know, feud with Jericho, could have feuded with Christian, feud with Chris Benoit while he was still on Raw. There was a bunch of Edge, yeah, Edge was still there. Shelton Benjamin, because Shelton was a hot dude right there. Right
they tried to make him go single. He was catching that sweet chin music though. He caught hell from Shawn Michaels off that jump.
Yeah, but he was also pinning Triple H. Like it was, and plus Brock and Shelton had that.
They boys, ain't they? From like Minnesota, they like wrestled together.
Yeah, so it would have been interesting if perhaps Brock got brought over to Raw at some point. They could have played off the Brock Shelton relationship.
I fear Batista would be what we're seeing now with like Bobby Lashley. We're like,
yes,
it works. It works every third show where it's like, oh yeah, I low-key forgot. Like Bobby Lashley kind of fire, but then like he's on 2 straight shows. It's like it's just not hitting the way I want it to. Like it's something. It's just not. It's like he can do all the moves. He even like sells very well. Like you watch him wrestle small guys, he really will take bumps and like not like catch shit. Like he'll really sell. But it's just like something never clicks over. Where it's like, why is Bobby Lashley not Batista? Like you said, why is he not that? Because he is like physically that, and like athletically speaking, he should be that, but he just never clicks.
It's because it's the same reason why we never want to hear that nigga talking on the mic. He don't have no personality when he wrestles. He's the exact opposite of a Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens talks literally the entire time, and you can hear. I swear to God, you can hear everything that nigga is saying for 40 minutes if he have a match that long. Whereas
he's like, quit, like stop. Like he was mad funny.
He was just telling the nigga. He was like, oh my gosh, what's the favorite thing that he always say is when he whoop a nigga and he was like, oh, does that hurt? Like, I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
So Bobby's like completely not that. He has no fucking personality when he wrestles, which is why right now it's the sweet spot because MVP, he doesn't need to have a personality when he wrestles right now because of MVP. Yeah. Like he never had that at that time. And Batista would have been the same shit. That's why when you put him with Evolution, now Batista can become Batista because he's built up and then he leaves. Like you saw him grow up and now he's going like leaving home. Like he doesn't get that if Brock's not out.
No, and it's interesting this Batista conversation comes up because we saw, you know, Brock tried the NFL out. He did make the Vikings, and then I don't think he made it past like the OTAs or whatever. So he was back in talks with Vince McMahon to come back in like 2004, 2005, and the plan was to have him come back and face Batista at SummerSlam. So with Batista's rise, his SummerSlam 2005, he faced JBL in a no holds barred match, I believe. So with Brock there and Batista on SmackDown at that point, you bring Brock back. That creates a very, very interesting situation because Batista had just beat Triple H at the Mania prior to that, beat him at Backlash, beat him in Hell in a Cell, came over to SmackDown. So it's like, you know, with Brock being this hot commodity coming back, he left. A lot of people were kind of upset he left. He's still this superstar. Like you bring Brock back at any time and like, you know, people mark out. So I think a lot of people, So that's a blockbuster match, and a lot of people might have been looking for Brock to go over. So what do you do there to kind of create that Brock Batista feud and make it interesting?
I think. All right, so I'm gonna take this approach because I'm Captain Save-A-Hole when it comes to my favorite. I don't like to see my wrestlers get buried. I don't like to see that shit. All right, I'm gonna try to prevent it as much as I can. So I don't want to see Batista get buried. So I'm gonna use my cheat code that I always use. It's disqualification. Like, you know, and I think and my favorite way is best, especially when I have two big stars that I don't want to bury either of them, and I want both of them to look good no matter what happens in this match or whatever, no matter how fucked up they get or whatever. I'll do the double disqualification too. I'll have somebody from Brock's past come or whatever, who, you know, like whoever it needs to be, they need to come. It could be Eddie just for, because you know how Eddie used to just like fuck with niggas just to fuck with niggas. He might just do like, cause like, while like, or
bro had
like,
a match over as somebody else's son. Like, what you need custody of his son for? Like, why do you need great custody over Dominic?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that was at that SummerSlam.
What year is this? Is Eddie still here at this point?
Yeah, that's the same SummerSlam. It's that match.
It was
That
at
ladder
that
match is that
SummerSlam.
day. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just fucking with Ray for no reason.
Bruh, like
what are you doing that for?
I get like, yeah, I say like fucking have them do a match like it's fucking crazy or whatever, and then like just people just come and fuck it up, and then it just really like spirals from there. I think the story, here's my problem. I think if you keep the story between those two, somebody's gonna have to come out on top, and whoever gets buried, they are not gonna be able to recover and have the career they end up having. And because I saw it already, I don't want to like stop that or whatever. Because I know it's possible. As a kid, I don't think that shit is possible or whatever. I see winners and losers or whatever. But like knowing what it is now, I'm like, let's keep them both safe and keep the story intertwined with a bunch of people, so it's not one guy getting buried or blah, blah, blah. That's how I would take it.
Yeah. So social media would not like a Brock Batista match in 2020. They would be like, yo, you're burying Batista. He just got his run. How are you putting the title on him? And then if Brock loses, but Brock is this menacing Hollywood block, like how do you have him lose? Like the people wouldn't be satisfied. So that would be a really, really tough spot for the writers to be in. I would have a lot of sympathy for them, but it would still be a really good match that I would love. Absolutely.
I think also like in my mind, it's like hard for me to wrap my mind around like Batista bombing Brock, but also Brock F5ing Batista. Like it doesn't like compute to like they're just such like powerful moves. But it's like, can I really picture Batista like lifting Brock up and power bombing him? Like I don't think anyone's ever power bombed Brock. Like I just can't. I don't have that image in my head. Same with like Batista. Like I guess John Cena might have hit a. Also, I call it the FU. I don't call it the attitude adjustment because like I think that's stupid. Like I'm not a kid. Like it's the FU. Like I don't know.
Podcast right now. That shit is called fucking FU. Ain't no goddamn attitude.
He said your move's the F5, mine's the FU. I'll never forget that bar John Cena dropped on Brock Lesnar's head. So yeah, I can't picture that too. So I feel like it's got to be. You can't. I mean, you could, but you probably should run back the whole Paul Heyman turns on Brock thing. But like, I feel like that's realistically what probably would happen, or it would be like Triple H returns and screws over Batista because like you just wouldn't let either of them lose clean. Not off on a one-off match, not at SummerSlam, maybe at Mania, but not on a one-off match. I think it would have really, even if it was a good match, like which it would have been, because like they were both at that point working really well, it would have ended up being, oh, Batista can't win the big one. He's buried now. Because also like, so the title's on Brock, and then what do you do with that? Because Brock's not going to be around full time. I mean, I guess if that's what it was, but I doubt he would if he's coming back for this one match. So like the World Heavyweight title's on Brock, so then you just have like no World Heavyweight title, because that like, we do that now, but that wasn't really a thing in the early 2000s where like you would have your main champion just not on TV for months at a time. Like they were defending titles every week, like on Raw. So I just can't see that happening either. So Brock would have to lose, and I just don't see him catching a Batista bomb. So it would have to be some type of like chicanery to go on to like fuck it up.
Here's another idea. And this comes from knowing what we know now, but like I don't think it would have been possible. It would just been interesting to see them try it. Knowing what we know about Batista's range now, like how he can like, bro, like when he came back for that last fucking feud, just like when he came back that first episode and you saw how he had what's his name in the fucking room, I was like,
give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Like, it was like when he first showed up on camera, he didn't even need to talk. What he was trying to communicate, I got that shit. Because that nigga, like, he had that personality.
He's a good heel. He's a really good heel. Booty.
Yeah, and, like, he knows, like, so I'm thinking, like, what if he gets coached, you know, what if Like, what if his acting is up to par for the times or whatever? And like, I'm thinking like, what if you have him? What if he does lose clean to Brock or whatever? But what if his acting is up to par at the time where you can have that motherfucker go crazy? So now you can still have two beasts. This beast is crazy because this motherfucker, like, he's got a reason. Like, he's been driven crazy because he lost, because he can't win the big one. And now he's going to fucking destroy everybody in this way. And then Brock is just still just Brock or whatever. That's another possibility, maybe.
That would be good. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, Batista had experience being a heel already, working with Triple H, Orton, and Flair. So that's an easy transition for him. And then it sets up, what was it a fluke, me beating Triple H at Mania? But then he beat him 2 times after. So it would be kind of hard just to say 3 wins were a fluke.
Yeah.
But still,
but it could have been like, it could also set up a thing where it's like, oh, Batista, you beat Triple H, but you couldn't beat me. Like it could be like Triple H in his ear being like, you see what happens like when you left me, like now you can't win. Like, yeah, you could beat me because you like my little bro or whatever, but like you need me. Like you really need me. And then like the next match when he faces Brock, like Triple H is like helps him beat Brock. And then Triple H is like, now you owe me because I helped you get the title back. And then you kind of had that storyline. But
bro, y'all booking some fire shit because I want to see this right now. I can't see this shit.
Because you can see Triple H in that suit with like, because he still had the long hair doing like,
bro,
don't you?
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Listen,
Dave.
Triple H with the goatee and that motherfucker. Yo, this nigga.
Had that long
suit. I see this nigga. I'm like, you really was walking around.
Yo, like, to be honest, I would have loved to see long hair goatee Triple H work with Brock in some way. Yeah. Like I don't know what they could have done, but
he kept getting hurt.
Yeah, but looking at the matches they had 2012, 2013, like that would have been great back when Brock was athletic. And also Brock and John Cena's chemistry with the 2012 match, the 2014 matches, and Brock successfully defended the title against Cena in 2003, I believe. So there was a story there. Like that's something that they could have revisited when Cena won his first WWE title from JBL, or when he went to Raw. Maybe if they move Brock over to Raw, like they could revisit that. I think feuds and maybe one more Royal Rumble win are what would have carried Brock from 2004 when he left to maybe 2012. I mean that's like 8 years, and they have to be good with the long-term storytelling there, because one thing we talked about in our chat was like Brock really never changed his character. Like he's consistently been the same. And while I think we were experiencing some Brock fatigue in like 2016, 2017, when he beat Braun, when we thought Braun was going to get the title.
Oh my God, yeah. He kept running back the same match over and
over.
Yeah,
it was like, yo, man, like just
face Roman 3 times. Like, bro, just let him win one. Right. Jesus fucking Christ.
So, it's just keeping that character interesting enough and putting them against interesting enough people would have been the challenge there. But I think Cena, the way that he rose and like his transition from the rapper Cena to the C Nation leader, I think Edge, like heel Edge in 2008, the work Edge was doing against Taker,
God's work.
God's work. He was washing Taker. If we're gonna be honest, like I think
on the mic too, he was talking that shit to Taker. He don't give a fuck about no dead man.
Bro, got on Brock's nerves.
Yeah.
Big time.
I always felt like, and this is something like they could do now, but I always wanted to do a little bit earlier when Brock was around more, like have him do, how like the Fiend has like the pictures on the wall and then Orton's like the Legend Killer. I feel like an easy storyline Brock could have just been him being like, I've just never done this. I've never won the United States title. I feel like doing it. And then winning it and then just dropping, like, I just wanted to see if I could do it. Or like, I've never beat you. Oh, you think like you saw at the Rumble where like he saw Keith Lee. He's like, who the fuck is this guy? And have it just be like, I've never beaten Keith Lee. He was kind of big. Let's just see if I can do it. Because I just feel like that's such an easy thing they could have done and could continue to do. Just have him be like, never won a tag title. I'm going to win it by myself. I'll just have both of them. Like, I'll just be the fucking Cesaro and Shinsuke by myself, win the tag titles, and you could just have them back. I don't even want to keep them. I just be like, I'm just that fuck. I do whatever the fuck I want. I'm Brock Lesnar. I want to, like, beat your ass just because you looked at me crazy or just because I just haven't done it yet or just like I want to show you one last time like you can't never step to me. Like I just feel like that's like the old man Brock I kind of want to see them get to, where it's just like even if he drops Heyman being like, yeah, I'm done doing this for money, this is just for like what I feel like doing, like I just want to show up, fight, and then go home. I just feel like that's such an easy storyline they could do, and I always want them to do that.
Kenny, you are a fucking genius. You know how you do that? Keep him away for a little bit longer, right? Have him come back as old man Brock, but like keep everything the way it is now. Where like, because a lot of people are wondering, and they're like, "Damn, Raw don't have a general manager. They fucking announcing it. Guess who the fucking general manager
Brock
is?
Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar." And
Wow.
this is how he's doing all that shit. It's like he can do it because he has carte blanche to do whatever the fuck he wants.
And like no one would step to him. I know that they'll step to Jimmy Manager's like, I want to match with Sparks. Like, you want to match with the title? You could go through me first. Like,
Wow.
beat me. Beat me.
Like he just randomly challenges people. Like somebody comes up to him and it's just like, look, we like the challenge, blah, blah, for the tag titles. And he's like, all right, cool. You get a qualifying match, handicap match against me. What the fuck, nigga?
Yeah, just like he just walk in your matches right now and just like walks to the ring. Yeah, I feel like that would be so fire. You just have Brock just like, because no one's gonna tell Brock no. So it's not like Brock's gonna be like, I want an Intercontinental title shot. Like, well, you have to earn it. Like, no, he could just face AJ Styles just cause he wants to. Like, I think that should be such a fire limit.
Friday. It's deep.
It sounds like a scarier version of Constable Baron Corbin.
Yeah, like exactly. Like niggas would really be afraid of him.
I like that. Nah, that's a dope idea. That'd actually be pretty fire. But low key, there are still some people I would like to see Brock work against. John Morrison won, and I think younger John Morrison, like prime John Morrison, when he was putting on bangers
for Brock.
Oh yeah, that like Starship Pain. Yeah, he probably would have gave up a hip and a knee or two, but you know it would have been worth it for the entertainment.
For sure.
Because that was peak perk times.
Perk angle, baby.
Man, listen, yo, John would have been just doing all that parkour all over the bro. It would have been crazy. I do want to see Brock and Kofi running back. I don't know how they build towards that. And again, I don't know if it will be a long match, but you know, Brock works so well with small guys. We saw it with Brock versus AJ, Brock versus Daniel Bryan, Brock versus Finn Balor. The Brock versus Ricochet match, which we thought was going to go longer. You know, Ricochet got washed, but I think that would have been really good too. So you know, you look at someone like Matt Riddle. Everyone wants to see Riddle Brock.
They'll really just get to fighting though. Like they'll just get to really like UFC like kickboxing. Like it's not gonna be a match. They'll really just get to like fighting. Like
yeah, that would be a shoot. Like that would just be violent.
They'll just agree before match, like, hey, I know what Vince said, but like we're gonna end this like men. Like we're gonna do this just like men. Like we just gonna
both them niggas crazy. That's why.
Yeah, they both UFC fighters. They really fight. Like they'll just fight.
Them niggas is always trying to fight niggas too. Like Matt Riddle, this nigga Matt Riddle, bro. This nigga is all like
he's gonna put hands on Goldberg one day. He gonna put hands on Goldberg. He gonna catch him lacking at like the WWE Hall of Fame, and he really gonna get to it. And
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But man, it's crazy because like I think we look at Brock's career. I believe he has like 6 or 7 world title reigns.
Yeah, it's not that many. It's like 7.
One Rumble win, 1 King of the Ring win, but it's like, what else can he really accomplish? Like, it doesn't really make sense. Like that idea of him going for the United States or Intercontinental title just to do it would obviously make sense. Like, I'm Brock, I could do that. But I think social media would be like, well, why do we have Brock going for a mid-card title, like the workers' title, when there's all this young talent that we could put over with that? So it's kind of like his storylines. If he's not fighting for titles, it's hard to make interesting storylines for him. So it's almost as if like, you know, what do you do? Like, I'm hoping that they bring him back soon. I think he's hitting somebody with an F5 at SummerSlam or Survivor Series.
Randall.
Randy setting up that Randy match again. There's always, you know, Cena's 17th world title reign and somehow working Brock into that. Maybe like doing a flip from 2014 when Cena got washed by Brock. But at this point, it's like, you know, he accomplished so much in his first 2 years. Took 8 years off, came back from 2012 to now. He's been here 8 years, and he's been cooking, washing Big Show, putting on bangers with Seth Rollins, putting on bangers with Roman Reigns. So it's like, what? You know, do you guys have anything else you would want to see him do?
Hell yeah.
I think it's kind of like the Undertaker, where it's like I think Undertaker maybe has like 8 world title reigns, but it's like it's not about like for some people like Cena. Or not say that's their whole career, but like it is like a numbers thing where it's like I'm hitting records. And some people it's just about impact. It's like how I would compare like Michael Vick to like Peyton Manning, where it's like, yes, Peyton Manning has stats in Super Bowls, but like the impact Michael Vick had on the game, like when you ask somebody like who do you want to watch play, Michael Vick or Peyton Manning, like Michael Vick. And I think Brock's like that, where it's like I want to see him do stuff for the impact. Yeah, where you could say it'd be like picking up a storyline with Cena, picking up a storyline where it's like a feud. It can't be about it probably wouldn't be about a mid-card title. It'd be like a feud where it's like I said, the thing with Keith Lee where it's like this new guy, he thinks he's the next big thing. Like, I think that should be another storyline too. That should be like, that was Brock's thing. I'm the next big thing. And there should be someone from NXT be like, well, I'm the next big thing now. Like, this is my thing. Like, you're old news. Like, we don't need you anymore. Like, and really like run that back and have Brock go heads up with somebody like that, where it has to be like a purposeful thing, because you can't bring him back like Goldberg, where it's just like, Goldberg's around, like he's gonna spear somebody and like hold title and lose. Like, Brock actually needs story.
I'm sorry,
I love Goldberg, but like it's just not a good storyline anymore. Although I did want to see Goldberg versus Roman, I would have liked to see that because Roman can really work, and I think Roman, and although Goldberg will kill someone before 2025, that's like confirmed. He's going to break someone's neck. Almost was Taker. We almost really had the dead man in Saudi Arabia, which like would have broken the internet. But he's going to kill somebody. And so I would like to see that. But I do think, Brock needs storylines that like have history and have like purpose to them, where it's like, no, I want to see this because like of what it'll mean 5 years from now, not just like to pop a SmackDown crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you hit on something important there too when you were talking about like the way he would be feuding with people and like the impact, and like it doesn't, like it's not what he's fighting for or about, whatever. It's just like how he goes about it. Like, you know, like it's like you want to watch him do shit or whatever.
Right.
For that reason. On top of that, with like you pair that with the feuds, here's something that like around that, especially if we go back to that time, right? Let's say we go back to that time. Here's something you didn't see a lot. Let's say if he stays or whatever. I would like to see people start challenging him. Because his whole thing is like Brock comes in the room and fucks people up. I would like to see somebody walk, because that's basically what we just saw Drew do or whatever. Like Drew walked up and it wasn't on some like humble shit. That nigga was like, no, fuck you, nigga. Like, give me your title.
Claymore County, nigga.
Yeah.
And that, from, nigga.
Yeah. And that was our first, like, bro, like, you know, I'm at this big ass age and that's the first time I'm looking at Brock and I'm like, oh shit, Brock is like, oh, this nigga just whooped me. I don't know if I've ever like seen Brock, like I've seen Brock lose, but I've never seen Brock look another man in the eyes and be like, damn, nigga, you just whooped me. Like,
especially another man who's his sock, because Drew is big. Like, Drew is not like Big Show big, but he's like tall and like solid.
They came before I moved. They came right before I moved, bro. I saw that motherfucker and how fast that nigga is scary.
You're a freak. He's an athlete. That kip up into the Claymore, special.
It's so, every time I see it, I'm like, why is it so quick? Like, that shit don't make no sense, bro. That nigga's big.
It's a big cat, bro.
Yeah, I honestly think Brock and Drew could put on a few more bangers too, if that was something that they wanted to revisit. But Drew's reign has been really solid. Like, I'm looking forward to the Orton match. I think Orton might go over, but if Drew does win, like, we might have to start having some different conversations about him and this reign, because it's solid. Yeah, I think that's all I got on Brock. Crazy career, man. Like, just so many classic matches, so many of my favorite matches throughout my wrestling.
I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
Obviously, I'm glad you run the Royal Rumble. I know McIntyre Hive, Claymore County, like, leave me alone. But I was really into the whole, like, Brock starting out at 1 and eliminating every single person. Like, I was so in. When he got to, like, 15, I was like, just do it. Like, fuck it. I'm in. Just one by one. Just take him out. That was such a fire storyline. I was like, I'm sold. For him just being like, I'm going to enter at 1 and just toss people out as soon as they come into the ring.
I swear to God, I would have chugged all the fucking. I would have drank everything in my fucking apartment if he would have did that shit.
That was so fire.
You got to think about it too, because like they planned to have Goldberg go over Fiend. So like, what if it was Brock as WWE champ, winning the Royal Rumble, facing Goldberg, Universal champ, in a winners take all match, running it back from WrestleMania 20 or WrestleMania 33, like. Bro, that would have been nuts, and like maybe just throwing in Roman for the hell of it, kind of like with the Becky Charlotte Ronda match.
Yeah,
like, that would have been crazy. That would have been real crazy. So.
That was such a fire storyline. I love that. That's one thing. Like stuff like that. Like I'm saying, like stuff where it's like Brock just being like, I'm about to do some shit just because I'm Brock Lesnar. I think that's like the arc we need to get on.
I love the troll Brock Lesnar. Like that's my favorite. When that nigga took the suitcase,
Money in the Bank,
yo, Brock Party.
I swear to God, when I seen
my favorite Brock.
Yeah, that was the best Brock. When he was dancing, that was the best Brock. Like even like when Money Bank happened and like the music hits and Ali's just like looking like, come on, dog. And you see Brock just walking just like laughing like, oh yeah, I'm about to beat your ass and get that. Like you just knew like, yeah, Brock's here. He does whatever the fuck he wants to do. Like. Yeah, that's the type of shit I need to see now. Where it's just like, there's no reason for Brock to have the Money in the Bank. Like he could just challenge it. Like, he's Brock Lesnar, but it's just funny him being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take this from you because it's mine." Like just to debo other people. Like obviously, I don't want to see him bury every single young talent, but like, yes, just shit we never seen before. I'm all in for.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the greatest heels to not be so great on the mic. Like it's wild. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys for joining the Rewriters Room. We'll be back, and yeah, that's that.